Was the sound good?
So you wanted about a fist away.
Fist away?
What's
fist
up?
Away?
Hey, guys. We're starting now.
Oh, we're on.
This is Patrick. You already fucking know that. I don't know why I'm saying that. With the Learning to Lose podcast, we have Billy. Our co-host, our very own. And we have Hamish.
The Illusion.
Yeah. Like, he's a fucking Malibu legend, bro. I've actually been trying to like do some shit with you for a while since I saw you at Agenda that one night, remember?
Yeah.
I think I was going to do a Local Legends on you.
You were.
Yeah.
I didn't make the cut.
Well, dude.
I love the Local Legends thing.
Well, I mean, bro, Vice straight up took it and they're just doing it. So my first Local Legends I posted 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Vice just made a whole series on it about a year or two ago.
They interviewed the drummer and the guy.
No, they have their own. They did their own Local Legend series about every town has a local legend. So they just did it. It wasn't like, I'm not saying they took my idea. I think it's not the craziest idea to think about, but we did. I don't know. Who knows what happened?
They're pirates. They probably saw it.
I don't know. Right? You can think like that way, but I don't know. I mean, because I have similar situations.
It's the 100th monkey, though. They probably everyone thought of it at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I think. Because I was also in this group called Hyper Crush, and we, the Black Eyed Peas did a song that sounded a lot like ours, and like a lot of people were sort of jumping on the electronic pop movement, and a lot of people would be like, "Oh, they stole your," and I'm just I don't know. I don't want to be that guy. It's like everyone's taking my ideas. Meh. Like I don't want to do the victim thing, right? I want to just keep it moving. So now our thing is learning to lose.
That's it. Well, if you can't lose, you can't win.
Yeah.
How long has Illusion been going on?
I've been doing I've been the Illusion since the November 2010.
That's amazing. Let me interrupt you. 2010. So what's your handle so everyone can see you on Instagram?
If you go to Instagram, I am Malibu Illusion on Instagram. 110, something like that. I've lost some over the last couple months.
It's just off, Mikey.
Just off.
Yeah, you turned it off. Yeah.
So you've been at it for a decade.
I've been at it for a decade.
Hold up, though. This fool has over 100,000.
110. Yeah.
Bro, let me just fucking give it up. 'Cause I'm not gonna lie, bro. YouTube. Let me just say, YouTube is a motherfucker.
Yeah, it's a tough game.
So will you just give me a tip? Give me some tips, bro. Consistency.
You're kind of why I think I'm over here, and how I ended up here is you've got it. There's my avatar.
Thank you, sir.
It's honesty, and I do the one thing that I've never conformed to what is the current thing.
Yeah, I love that.
I just do what I do.
Yeah,
and I don't do edits.
Yeah.
I don't do jump cuts. If I have something to say, I'm willing to stick my foot in my mouth and roll through it. But I also do a lot of, I would say my thing that's kind of kept me going is I stay diverse. I don't just do like talking. I also review books and movies.
100,000.
Cut my hair.
I swear, I want to say I remember when you had 20K.
It's interesting.
I want to say that was like a year or two ago.
It was like I stuck it like 25,000 for like 5 years.
What?
Yeah, and then it's really weird. I was sitting at the beach, and I was like, I'm gonna manifest some stuff, and I made a video about manifesting. I was like, I want the play button. I want to get the play button, dude. I just want just as a goal to manifest towards.
Wait, what's the play button?
The YouTube play button when you get 100,000.
Oh my God, I want it so bad. I want the plaque. Dude, it's such a goal of mine. Dude.
So it's real interesting. I sat at the beach. I made a video about what I wanted to manifest into my future, right? And one of them was I want to get the play button. and a month later, my bowl cut video got recirculated again, and I got like 50,000 subscribers, like in like a 1 month, in a 1 month period.
Hold on. When did you post the bowl cut video?
I'd posted the bowl cut video in 2011.
And then it got how many views?
So when how it all happened, if I go into like how
Mikey or somebody, can you just pull this video up?
the bowl cut maintenance.
Just bowl cut maintenance.
Well, what's interesting, so the
illusion, just type in illusion bowl cut maintenance, right? And so
Yeah.
did you repost it?
No,
It just
the
fucking
algorithm.
went.
The algorithm did it. Well,
Wow.
what's the interesting thing about the bowl cut video is I had made it, and it was a sleeper for 2 years, and then Tosh called me in to do Tosh.0 about it, and Tosh was super cool to me and gave me like a really like unprecedented, non-ass kicking 10 minutes of Tosh.0. And then so that, but what's interesting is that's what got me from like 5,000 to the 25,000, and then then I just did me, and I would get bumps here and there on various things. Like I tapped into the fish.
Turn it down a little.
I tapped into the fish thing for a while.
Yeah, I remember him like this. I saw him share.
So
what is the bowl cut video?
it's just me cutting my hair. It was just me like.
But so you're already doing YouTube. At this point, you have 5,000 subs and you're like doing YouTube, or are you just fucking around?
I'm all right. So the story of how I get this is, you'll appreciate this, and you guys will appreciate
plastic
it.
thing.
So I was about 11 months sober.
You got to take this off. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Okay, he's got bad ADD.
We
just
have
so you know.
Norma here, and Norma still has the plastic on her phone.
No way.
So,
Norma.
so Apple makes. We're gonna get right back to this. People get these iPhones, right? They're expensive, and they're amazing, right? But Apple put so much into making that glass what it is. So don't block it with plastic. Use that glass. Touch that glass.
I'm with you.
No, his phone is he literally has not been able to enjoy his phone for the full potential.
Are you going to do it? I don't know.
I just
do you
got
feel
this
comfortable?
phone.
Get
Oh,
rid
you
of
gotta
that.
let her have it for-
Enjoy the glass. Your case will protect it, and you know that glass is not. That glass is like. It will stay amazing forever.
Well, you can buy.
Yeah,
it.
You don't need to protect
Well,
it.
I had this phone for like 2 years before I got this one, and it cracked. The entire screen cracked.
Well, but that.
I've had that one for a year now, and I'm a skater.
Let me
and
see.
It's pretty good, no scratches.
Oh yeah, no. You just need to have the right case, which you do. That case will protect your phone from cracking.
You
And
just
if it
don't-
does
yeah.
crack, just go get it fixed. I'll pay for it.
It's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty. Once
Now
you
that
go-
you're in the fucking learning to lose like crew, like I just bought him a phone. I just bought 3 people brand new phones.
Wow.
And that's actually my phone too.
I should have waited.
No. But like, yo, I just want the phone. This
No,
is
I
the.
finally went and got a new one.
But this is like everything. Like, could you imagine not being able to? It's everything. Okay, so we got our plastic off. Continue.
how? So this is how I get started on YouTube, and it's a total. Like, you guys will appreciate it. So I was 11 months. Sober. I was working at 6 months sober. I was Joe Shaughnessy. You know Joe. I was crazy, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with my life? And I was like, that day he picked me up, and I was like, I was 40 at the time, and I was like, you can join the Marines. I'm going to join the Marines. He's like, well,
Hold on, I just want to go back real quick. Hamish was 40 when he started his YouTube career.
yeah, 40.
Okay, so for anybody listening, that's inspirational.
yeah, it's never too late.
I just want to pause on that for a second, okay? Because Gary Vee talks about this a lot. And I'm 37, and I feel like it's a wrap. And it's just not.
if you had asked me at 39 years of age, if you'd asked me when I turned 40, actually, I was convinced my life was over.
Right.
That I was never going to find happiness, love, and that my athletic surfing and skating was done and life was over. I had the miracle of desperation. I get sober. The first year was a war zone. 6 months into it, I'm with my buddy Joe and my sponsor, my guy who saved my life, who found me drunk in front of a liquor store. I'm in the car with him. I go, I want to join the Marines, dude. And he's like, well, I've known some people who've done that, and you can do what you want. I'll drive you up there right now, but I don't think you should do that, but you can. And I go, well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And he's like, you know what you need to do? And I go, what? He's like, you just need to be patient. And I go, patience? What the foreign concept to me at 40 years of age is, what is patience? And he's like, just let life happen, and God will give you the mission when the time is right. And I'm like, all right, dude. That was in July of 2010. Move me to November. I'm living in this little trailer my friend had given me. I'm working construction, and everybody on my job crew is loaded one way or the other. I'm a solo sober guy at the job crew. I'm living at this trailer with one electrical cord, no bathroom, no nothing. I'm showering at the Zuma Beach. I'm doing that. I'm staying sober. I'm gung-ho guy. I call up my sponsor and I go, dude, I don't want to work at this job anymore. Everyone's loaded. This guy almost knocked me off the scaffolding, and my buddy's like, well, then you shouldn't work. I go, well, I don't want to get blackballed, because it was all the boys in Malibu. It was a pretty tight-knit construction world. And
what was
we were building a house down at...
Was it for Skylar?
No.
You know Skylar?
Oh, yeah.
And John, or Sicky Dicky.
Oh, yeah, all those guys.
Or what's the other guy? Jonathan.
Hildebrand, yeah.
Yeah, Hildy.
Sicky, yeah.
That's my boy, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So...
hold on a second, real quick. Did you remember Hyper Crush? Sicky Dicky, the shows they put on with us?
I was so loaded back then, I don't remember much.
You probably were
I was probably causing trouble
at the show.
At the
Malibu Inn.
Yeah.
So we played a lot at the Malibu Inn.
Yeah, I was probably no doubt like getting kicked out or something back in the day.
Yeah.
Because that was sort of my MO.
We started playing at the Malibu Inn with this promotion with these two promoters. Skylar. Yeah. Skylar he was an electrician.
Yes, he is an electrician and became the mayor.
The mayor of Malibu. But this guy would book, he was a promoter, and he booked us, and LMFAO would open for us, and we got them like their first shows at the Malibu Inn, and then they fucking blew up. But so in Malibu it's very clicky. You think it's clicky out here.
So I'm a sober guy working with all these dudes. Well, one of the dudes at the job had been sober once, my friend Billy. And Billy was this young El Salvadorian adopted kid who had all the carpentry skills that anyone could ever desire, was a master at it. But he had no self-esteem or whatever. And when we showed up met at this job, he was like, I'm going to get you loaded before this job's over. And I was like, well, I'm going to get you sober before this job's over. And we were just worked together every day. And he always looked out for me, man. Billy was had the most loving, giving heart ever. So his own life was melting down around him. Every day he'd be like, how you doing? Do you need a shower? Do you want to come by my place? Do you want to camp on my property? Because I didn't have a home then. I was a sober guy with nothing.
And he wasn't sober.
No, he wasn't, but he had been sober, so he knew what I was up against.
But was he...
Well, this is where...
Hold on, this is just...
So as do you want me to wait?
No, keep going.
So as Billy and I are working together, he begins to come around to wanting to be sober again, because he had 2 kids at the time. And I was like, dude, you should be the sober guy. I got nothing. You should be the sober guy. You got all the skills. I'm a late bloomer at this. I'm not that good at carpentry. Do your thing. And right at the end, he was like, all right, man, I got to go serve 30 days in jail. He's like, will you give me a ride down to jail? And I'm like, I will give you a ride to jail if we can do a meeting on the way to jail. And he's like, yes, I want to get sober. I'm going to go to jail, and that's going to be my first 30 days is in jail. We're going to go to a meeting on the way. Well, there was some stuff going on in his life that right then. So at the same time, I didn't want to be on this job, and my sponsor's like, you're going to stay on this job because your primary purpose is to help Billy get sober. Like, I wanted to quit because it was dangerous, and everyone was loaded, and I was afraid of getting hurt on the job. And he's like, your primary purpose is to stay on this job to help Billy get sober. And I'm like, all right, man, I'm going to stay on this job to get Billy sober. I hung up the phone with Joe, and my friend Matt called me, and he's like, Billy's died on his motorcycle drunk in front of our house, dude. Like, he's dead. Like, just like that. And I'm like, oh my God. So I call up my sponsor, and I'm like, dude, Billy just died on a motorcycle drunk. And my sponsor screams through the phone. He's like, did you get the message? Did you get the message? He's screaming at me. Billy died to deliver you a message. Did you get it? And I was like, oh. And so I went and I sat and I thought about it, and I was like, well, what was the message that Billy was giving me? At the time, you have to understand, I'm like a hermit by nature. Like, I'm not an outward guy.
Really? You seem like
Yeah, well, so Billy was the most loving human being I've ever known. And I was like, all right, I have to give of myself. I have to open myself up and be loving to people like he was to me. He had no need to do what he did for me. He was that dude. And I was like, I need to do what he does. I need to emulate his life, to honor his life. And 3 days later, I was all bummed out about the thing, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm thinking about Billy, and I pray to God. I'm like, God, I don't want to spend another night up thinking about Billy and the whole thing. And I fall asleep, and like a sign from God, it's just wake up, and it's like, put all your money on blue and get a laptop. And I'm like, all right. And you have to understand, up at this point, I hadn't had a laptop in 5 or 6 years because I was paranoid about the government and the whole thing. I didn't want anything to do with technology. So I call up this dude who I'd known who was sober, and I was like, hey man, he was due to new technology. I was like, hey, I need to get a laptop. I got $600 saved up. And he's like, all right, Kyle, meet me down at the Best Buy, and we'll dial you in. And I end up getting this blue Dell laptop. And I go home that night with the new laptop, and I open it up, and I hadn't had one with the camera on it. So I make my very first video, and it says, do you want to upload it to Facebook? And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, well, you got to do it via YouTube. And I made it my YouTube account right then and there, and I uploaded video number 1 that night. And that starts my whole YouTube career. And so the weird thing about it is I did it in honor of Billy. And then as it's moved through, on the backside of my YouTube channel, I don't really I didn't used to go out of my way to talk about sobriety or anything like that the first 8 years, let's say. But people would figure out from my phrases and stuff that I would say and how I was living my life that I was sober, and they would get a hold of me via my email. I'm super open about it. They would get a hold of me and be like, you're a sober guy, aren't you? And they'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, will you help me get sober? And I gotten tons of people sober via YouTube on the back channel. And it's all this for this dude, Billy, man. He's the reason I make YouTube videos in the ultimate way, is to honor this dude's life.
Wow, what a transformation, because you're saying that you used to be a hermit like me, real quiet, and now you're outgoing, and so many times you try to help people. So many people have tried to help me before I was ready, and they just take and they don't get anywhere. But it's so inspiring when someone like you takes it and goes somewhere with it and improves. You know what I mean? The underdog finally steps up, and because you're a different person today. So I always love hearing those stories where shit goes down, but something good comes out of it, right?
Well, it was also that thing as like, because where I was in my life, I was early sobriety, I was isolated by my very nature. So I used to just make this daily video for cathartic reasons. There was no one watching them. I would just make them and post them on Facebook. I had no following. I had no reason to make them. I would just make them.
So it's like your way of being social, kind of, or something.
It was just it was like this video diary or something. Because I was a writer. I had written, like I wrote a novel, and I was a pretty prolific like daily writer. And then this YouTube thing happened, and I was like, all right, I can make my daily little chat. And then I kind of was getting sober with these 19-year-old punker kids. And they had this band called Run Man, and I used to go be the filmer and post that on my YouTube channel of these sober kids who were punkers, and I would hang with them. So I was like 40 at the time. I was hanging out with, they were 17 at the time. They were 17. They had a punk rock band, and I used to just hang out with these kids and
they
drink.
Were all sober?
They were getting sober. It was Dalton, Sam McGee, and Bo. Bo wasn't getting sober, but we were doing.
So this is just
logging road.
15 minutes.
You know, I'm in a forest that is fully recovered from the abuses of mankind.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you get that.
Yeah, so 8 hours ago. I'm just looking at.
I made that video Sunday afternoon.
How fucking crazy is it? So this makes me feel a little bit better about my channel because you're getting 1,000 views on like all these videos. 600, 500. I mean that one has 600 views. Like Ocean, and then. Yeah, but you're posting like 2 or 3 a day.
Sometimes that was yesterday because I had a little bit of Wi-Fi problems, so I was trying to see what was going on, so I ended up posting some stuff. Generally
2,000, 5,000.
It all depends.
2,000. Yeah, but my point is that he has 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, what do you have?
How the fuck are you not getting at least 5,000 on every 10,000? I mean, it doesn't make sense. If there's 100,000 people, that's the algorithm. That's what I'm talking about. It's fucked up, dude.
Well, no, it's like you got to also understand is like the way I do it. There's people that watch that come for the bowl cut maintenance thing. That's my fishing net.
So those get like
they'll get in there. They'll come for the bowl cut maintenance, and then you have the skateboarding demographic. So I do a lot of interviews with skaters. I'll make skate videos. I do a live stream at Venice every Thursday where I just let the camera record skateboarding. Then I also have my son. So he's a whole thing. Like we'll make crafting videos, or I'll make salsa. Like I made a bulletproof coffee one day, and like 3 years ago, and it went viral.
What's that? How many views?
I don't even know.
But let me ask you this: how much do you mind telling me like what you're making every month, or is that like a?
If you're into YouTube on the front, there's no money in it. There's the only reason you monetize your channel is for the algorithm to get it to circulate. Because if it doesn't monetize, the algorithm won't send it out.
Oh, really?
There's no money in AdSense. It's how I make my money is live streaming and selling T-shirts. And
so
stickers.
How do you make money live streaming?
So when I have my live streaming go, my fan base can put money right into the live chat.
Well, so why aren't we doing that?
You have to earn it.
Ooh, by doing live streams.
No, they've changed it. So when I started out YouTube almost 11 years ago, it was easy.
Okay, but basically what you're saying is that if we just keep live streaming, eventually there will be a button to donate.
This is how it works. They've changed it over the last couple of years because I have a Lego channel that I do where I just review Lego sets. Like I just do Legos on the side. Like that's one of my new passions I get to relive because I have a 5-year-old child.
What's that channel?
It's Al and Hamish's Construction, I believe. and it's just me and my son. I'll just do live streams where there's no one. I have like 1,000 subscribers,
Right?
But I'm trying to get it monetized so it gets out, so I get into the Lego sphere, so I can get on the Lego thing where they send you Lego sets. It's my big goal. But it's really just, it's my meditation channel, if you will. So so my live streams can get pretty sassy sometimes about like what's going on the world, but they'll also be very heartfelt. Sometimes I'll just talk about like life and my garden
on your Malibu Illusion channel.
Yeah. So
and you'll make
but then I'll go to my Lego channels for my fan base that we don't talk about anything but like Legos, like and vanilla stuff, super vanilla. Because I'll get super fired up about stuff on my other channel. It's like Free Fire Zone.
So like, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, like, how much are you making altogether on the live streams and the
so if I well, it's again, it's
a couple
like,
hundred here, a couple hundred
again,
there.
it's so hit or miss. Is sometimes I'll be there and someone will drop $400 in there.
Whoa!
Dude. Sometimes I won't make anything.
But it's a little extra cash.
It's fishing. Yeah. Where the consistency comes in is merch. Like I have my T-shirts and my hats.
Hold on a second. Max made merch for him.
Yeah.
I know.
At my studio.
Oh, really?
We basically had to show him how to make the merch, how to use Photoshop.
Max was my merch guy, and then we had a good thing going on. Then he had to go do his own thing.
But so okay.
It definitely was a struggle because I was so this is how I operate my thing. I'm open source, so anyone who's listening out there, you can take any of my content on Instagram, wherever you find my content, and you can freely do what you want with it. All I ask is you don't use it for hate or degrading people. But if you want to make edits and do things, I don't care. If you want to use it to promote your thing, I just ask you circle back around down the line and take care of those. So my whole thing is like I create stuff. I'm an artist. I write. I create. I don't know how to market myself. I don't do that. So when Max came to me and was like, "Hey," I was like, "Dude, that's your dream thing. Like you do it. I'm not in it that for the money." So we split that like right down the middle because it was like his thing. Like I don't, but then it was like to keep the ball rolling. I had to kind of figure that one out, but it's pretty, all right. I'll tell you what, I could get the gold play button, but I'm terrible at what I do. I'll be honest with it. I don't follow the rules. I don't tag any of my videos. I don't promote anything I do. I don't do any of the conventional.
Do you use hashtags?
I don't do any of that stuff. I just make a video and I post it. That's all I do.
Bro, you're like,
because
all you have to do is hashtag, I don't know, a couple things.
But again, this is the dude who's been to I've been to William Morris. I've had all these things, and people just don't get what this. So I went in and had a dude who was a viewer get a hold of me and go, "Hey, I want to come talk to you about doing a show." And I was like, "All right." He's like, "I want to do a show with you." Because I got ideas. I got lots of ideas. So he was like, all right. And we went and did the show, and he went and pitched it to his boss, right? And this is like one of my people. And he was like, he went and pitched it to his Hollywood people, and they were like, it's too positive, man. There's no conflict. What's the conflict? It's too positive. So this dude came back to me, and he's like, look, dude, you're onto something because people want positive content. And he's like, you're going to have to reinvent. You're going to have to build your own spaceship, essentially. And I was like, well, I just make stuff. That's not what I do. I don't. If I'm going to figure out how to make T-shirts, then I do. That's a different career. It's going to take from my content making. You know what I mean? Like I give it my all. So I don't know this other stuff not because I don't want to. It's just that's not what I do. So I don't know how to market myself because I'm not a marketing guy. I'm not a talent agent, so I don't know how to go book things. I run into some pro skater somewhere. I go, hey, you want to do an interview? And they're like, of course, Illusion. Like, I'll do an interview. So this dude told me to make my own show. 2 years go by, and this dude gets a hold of me. Another one of my viewers is like, dude, I got a show I want to do, dude. And I was like, all right, let's meet. And they put together a camera guy, a sound guy, and this dude was an editor. And we did 5 episodes of The Illusion Spaceship Earth. And what I am is a black box guy. So when you ask me, do you want to do a podcast? The fact that I don't know anything about this, that's how I operate. That's my comfort zone. The more I know, the worse I do. So the basic premise of this show was that they would take me to conventions and be like, here's the convention. I wouldn't know what the convention was. And I would show up at the door and go explore it, sort of like, who was the guy who used to do it. So I would go explore these shows.
Kyle Mooney.
No, it's Kyle Mooney bid on Huell Hauser. Huell Hauser was a big fan of mine growing up, and for those of you who don't know, Huell Hauser was a public access guy who did all these great.
Wasn't it California Gold or something?
Yeah, California Gold with Huell Hauser. So that my thing was before all the Kyle Mooney doing this stuff. I went and learned to pole dance one day. I learned to pole dance. I went to the knitting convention. I went to the Pirates convention. We did 5 episodes.
Was it fun?
It's the greatest time ever. But why it was fun is because it was their dream. I was just a player in their dream. That's what was cool about it. I live in myself 24 hours a day. All I want is someone else to be like, hey, dude, this is what I want to do. Will you be part of my dream? Yeah, I'll be. So when you're like, hey, I go, dude, I'd love to be part of your dream, Pat. I'd love to be part of your dream. Heck yeah. Because I live in my own dream all day long, and self can't reveal self to self. Dude, I'm stuck in here, and I don't know what I got, don't have. I don't know. But
let's go there a little bit then.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, I'm gonna use the restroom real quick.
Okay. Yeah, I want to get to some learning to lose stuff, and
that's because that's what it's all,
and maybe a little bit about the meeting. But I guess so. I just want to touch on this is kind of a crazy thing because Norma is here, and she can you just talk a little bit about why you're here and what you're doing?
Yeah, let's hear from Norma.
Yeah. So I found Pat on TikTok like at the beginning of quarantine. So
you can pull that closer to you or however you want to do it. Yeah.
Did I sound good?
No, you're good.
Yeah?
You sound
Cool.
great, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I found him through TikTok. And I actually have like reached out to him through like TikTok, through Instagram, through email. So I tried different things. But essentially, like, I suffer from, like, really bad anxiety and, like, just, like, this, like, paralyzing fear of doing really anything. And so with this whole COVID thing, I decided to kind of go out of my comfort zone and train for an Ironman.
Wow.
Yeah, which is, like, insane because I've done a marathon before, but I've never done anything, like, that requires that much, I guess, like, work. So
can you talk a little bit about, like, I want to talk more about that too, by the way, but I'm just curious, like, why did you start messaging us or me? Like, what did you see? I'm just curious what the process was of you. Do you remember the first thing you saw?
It was one of your like early videos where you started talking just about like how many years you were sober. But
was I just like sitting here in this chair like with my shirt off with like a mohawk talking about sobriety?
No, I think you had like pink hair. You had the pink hair when I started watching you.
No, it's funny with the I feel like in the beginning the loudness of my look like got people to be like, wait, what? Like, it gives people a little bit of an extra, like, all right, let me hear what this idiot's talking about, because he looks like insane.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because you're right. Like, when I started watching your videos, I was like, doesn't connect, like, your, like, your message with, like, just, like,
wow,
the pink hair and, like, everything.
This is exciting for me, honestly, because, like, this is kind of one of the first times I've actually had somebody who like has been following me come and tell me that like this vision that I've had is like working on, like it worked for her. And I've been trying to figure out why it's resonating. And I think that's what it is you don't normally hear a guy that looks and sounds like me talking about the shit that I'm talking about.
Yeah, 100%. And then like we were talking earlier about like just the way that you specifically go about talking about like alcoholism. It's like really interesting because the way that anxiety like just kind of takes over your brain and like constantly having these thoughts that like either paralyze you with fear like me or maybe like make you stop yourself from doing different things. I feel it's like really similar to like the way alcoholics feel like
yeah, it's all the human struggle. And then do you follow Billy?
I do follow Billy. Yes.
When did you get hip to Billy?
Well, when he started his TikTok, because you would go on there and say like, oh, he doesn't want to post. Right. And then I noticed that you started posting more. This is cool because she's like...
Well, he tells me I need to post 3 times a day.
And he's been crushing it. You got this. Like, you're good now. Like, he's kind of his own... I guess, what is that? Like, I taught him...
Not really.
I taught him to fish, and now he's fishing.
Yeah, and it's so interesting.
I'm like Hamish. I don't really edit or anything. I just try to make it 1 minute. If it goes over, I just cut that end off or whatever.
And that's fine. And that's great.
And it's so interesting because it's so juxtaposed. Like when you go on Pat's TikTok versus when you go on Billy's TikTok, it's like completely different vibes. Yeah.
I love that. But it's also...
What is your handle so I can follow you?
It's Norms12 with 2 Z's.
Norms with 12. Okay. Yeah. With Z's.
Just hang around here for a couple months and you'll be at... your shit's gonna grow. It's really cool. I get excited to help people grow who I think deserve to be talking.
Well, you know what's cool is I did a big talk on my thing about exactly what you're doing and talking to people about that this is the time to get out of the comfort zone, go after your dreams, and how accessible the world is now in this new age. Like you literally like reached out and here you are, and you're doing this. It's funny how it's
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
wait a minute. I missed that part. So you don't know anybody.
No. Bro, she's found us through TikTok. That's why she's here.
How did she end up here though?
Because I'm looking for help.
Oh, so
and she hit me. Address? She hit me on like. I mean, we have literally hundreds of people trying to, which is a blessing. I'm so grateful. I can't even fucking believe it. But she hit me with her LinkedIn.
Oh.
And she hit me on LinkedIn.
Well, because I watched this video where it was you and Veronica, and you were like, I guess I have to start looking for people on LinkedIn. I think it was like a story on your Instagram because it wasn't like a video because I tried looking back on it. But I couldn't find it. So I think it was just an Instagram story.
So here's really all it comes down to is she's just one of a lot of different people that I don't know. I guess you could just say we kind of just picked her because I don't know. I don't know why. I just picked her.
Because she wanted to be here.
Yeah, man. And now
you didn't. You made it happen, right? You didn't.
I mean, we could definitely.
You didn't stop at the first.
There could be a lot of people.
The email didn't get answered or whatever. You're like, I got a mission, and this dude's part of it, and here you are.
I think that's you know what it is though. It's like, if you just send me a message, it might not. But if you're persistent, and then you hit me on LinkedIn also, like she hit me with like a whole resume. I don't even know what it said. I didn't even care. All I knew is that it looked like you were trying. You really were trying. And I take that back. I do remember what it said. First of all, she was local. That was a big thing. That's always the biggest thing. Because most people are not even in this state. So it's like going to be tricky, you know. So she was local, and she sounded like she had her shit together.
So you edit? You have experience with that? Or you?
I don't. So I've worked for startups before. Right now I work in like a transportation industry. So it has really nothing to do with.
But what did you say in your resume? It said that you graduated from.
Yeah, I graduated from like Whittier College. I have a bachelor's of arts in English. And then I have administrative experience.
Okay, so all that shit was like kind of impressive to me. And I think what we need right now isn't really like so much an editor as it is someone who like who believes in the cause and is just kind of willing to just do whatever and they're ready to like learn about new things, which seemed like what you were.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, and if you're smart, you're not going to be like, oh, fuck this, I don't want to edit. If you're smart, you're going to be like, oh, cool, let me learn this. This could help me. I think everyone should know how to edit.
Yeah, and I think it's always good to learn like new skills and kind of get out of your comfort zone and try something new. Like he said, like right now is like the perfect time to just learn something new and get out of your comfort zone and just push.
So what I'd like to do, if you're down, is I'd like to start like right now. Have you talked about your journey with the Ironman thing?
Like on my Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I post about it all the time.
Okay, that's great. But what about your TikTok? You're not really big on TikTok?
No, so I initially, when the quarantine started, I was going out to a lot of hikes and like just going out like in the world. And I would just like take different videos and then like put music to them and just kind of like put videos up of like my hikes and stuff with my best friend. So, but I kind of stopped doing that because I started training for this Ironman. And that's like really time consuming. So I've kind of like stopped with the TikTok.
But like, I would encourage you to document your journey with the Ironman thing. And then we can like send some people your way. Like when you're here with us, I can do a post about you and be like, yo, check out what up. You just started one?
All right, who's going to be my first TikTok follower? Because as you've been talking, I started one of these things.
Well, why don't you should start with a little video on this podcast. And
I'm working through it. I'm inspired by you now because that's how it's done.
Yeah, see, that's what's up. See, that's
and
why
I'm inspired by you.
And that's why he has 100K on YouTube and he got that fucking little red play button. And that's no fucking small feat. That's dope. And he's a guy... And that's what I love about him is he's not a guy you would think would have that, right? Like he's like you, but he just did it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've always like tripped on that about Hamish. I've always been like,
well, it sort of grew organically though with him. It's not like he set out to do that.
Well, I think that the thing that I did do that's really worked for me is, and you guys will understand this, in the sphere of YouTube, I don't say no. I say yes. Mm-hmm. So
I think that's a good quality to have in all spheres.
Well, no, but I mean is I've gotten some pretty like, hey, meet me over here, and I don't for example, like early on, these guys got a hold of me and they're like, hey, will you review these videos for our ad agency? We don't want to tell our boss they suck, but if you make a video about what you think about them, like we'll show it to our boss. And they were like ridiculous. Well, this ad agency turned, and they were like, hey, can we fly you to our ad agency in London? And I was like, okay. And I told my friend, and they're like, what are you doing? I go, these guys are flying me to London. He's like, you didn't ask any questions? I go, no, that's not my job. My job's just to show up in London. So these guys were like, do you want us to tell you what you're doing here? And I go, no, don't tell me anything. I don't want to know anything. Just like, and this was back when I used to be like real conspiracy guy. And I was like, oh, the New World Order is flying me to the city of London. Like, take me out, dude, you know? And so my buddy did some research and he's like, oh my God, dude, like they're the largest ad agency in like Europe's flying you in to do your thing. And I go, he's like, what are you doing? I go, I don't know. And I go, they're like, look, we only have one requirement. is we need you to show up at the office in a black cab. I go, okay, no problem. So I get to London. I'm like, all right. So I'm standing at the queue for the black cabs, right? Well, turns out that black cabs aren't that common anymore. They're all sorts of colors and ads. And so I'm standing at the queue, and this dude's like, all right, the next cab. I go, no, I got to have a black cab. And they're like, no, here's your cab. I go, no, you don't understand. I have to show up in a black cab. And the black cab, it's all like orderly. Like, it's not like the U.S. where you can just get a cab. You have to wait in line. So the black cab was like 20 cabs down the queue. And he's like, it's going to be like, and I go, all I know is I got to show up in a black cab, dude. Like, I'll sit here and wait as long as I had. And I show up to this thing in a black cab. It took me like an extra hour and a half to get this cab. So I show up, and what they wanted me to do was they're like, we're giving you a camera, and you have free reign of the entire office, the whole building. We just want you to film it and do one of your reviews of our ad agency. We just want you to review us. And they were like, well, skate around, do what you want. And I spent 3 days just filming them, giving my take on their ad agency.
And did you edit it, or
No, they did all of it. And then
you just sent them like all the video?
Yeah. No, they gave me a camera, and just cut me loose.
Did it end up somewhere on YouTube?
They made some, it was some internal, they made a internal video about their ad agency. And at the time they had all this like groundbreaking ad stuff they were doing with the iPhones and stuff. It was pretty like kind of trippy.
Did they provide you with hotel and food and all that stuff?
Hotel, expenses paid, 7 days in London, and the weather was perfect. And I got to explore London, and that's when I discovered street art, like a sledgehammer to my forehead. And London has the most incredible street art scene you've ever seen, like giant murals, not like graffiti, like murals. And I was skating through this like zone, and I saw this. In the back in this alley, I saw this like super colorful like skull mural on the thing, and I was like, huh. But I was like, it was in some alley, and there were some dudes doing some weird stuff back there, and I was like, I gotta go. Something about me was like, I gotta go check out this mural. And I was like, I could get killed back here. I don't know what's going on. But I was like, I went and checked out this mural, and these guys were super nice. And I was like, I just wanted to come see this mural. And they're like, oh, dude, you got to go to this other part of town where there's murals everywhere. And they're like, dude, when you go take a left outside this alley, you're going to see some of the greatest artists in the world have put their stuff on the walls. And it was like this. It was like in Who Framed Roger Rabbit when he goes into Toontown and everything lights up and there's just this magical world you've never noticed. And I went and I just spent the rest of the trip in London just taking videos of street art, and I made a bunch of videos there. And then I came back to LA and I was like, oh my God, we live in the most uncreative city on the planet.
Are those on one of your on YouTube?
Yeah, that's all. Everything's on YouTube. My whole 10 years is on YouTube. My son being born, all of it. I mean, I would say on the advice on the YouTube thing is, you don't know, so I just make videos how I feel about what I want, what interests me. I review books. I'll go to concerts. I'll do whatever. I don't care. And some of them...
Are you surprised sometimes when one goes and you're like, I wonder why that one went? And...
Yeah, I was... This one video went viral it was literally... I broke my surfboard surfing, and I couldn't get this motorcycle I'd bought started, and I came home and someone had sent me a Fish ticket to like the band Fish in the mail, and I made a 2-minute video about how like my day was terrible, but I got this Fish ticket and this is going to be rad. That video got put into the Fish blogosphere and blew up. So I have this demographic of Fish fans that follow my videos. And then I got a demographic, a sober thing. And then I have the weirdest demographic is I have like 40 plus housewives and 24 and under boys, men, and that's my demographic.
Older housewives and younger men.
Yep. If you look at my demographics on the thing, like I am the target market king, dude. Like when I went to William Morris, I tried to sell. They just couldn't figure out what my trip was, dude. Like, because I don't bullshit.
I know what it is. The girls think you're hot, and the boys look up to you.
Something like that.
Yeah,
it's something weird like that. And I stay pretty true. I get pretty emotional on there sometimes. Like
well, I mean, I'm not saying your content's not good, but I'm just saying that that's probably it.
Sure. No. There's a component to the weird. It's definitely a trippy world. Like, but I go and if Norma, if Norma emailed me and was like, "Hey, I'm passing through town. You want to get a cup of coffee?" The YouTube rule is I would say yes.
Yeah. No, I've been saying yes to TikTokers. I got actually a couple numbers now, and I'm talking to them and stuff. And yeah, why not?
Well, that's what it's all about.
They don't live in this. They don't live around here though. But so.
Well, the script is flipped where the audience is the star now. I'm just when I started doing live streams, I started live streams after the fire, really for real. It took me a while to realize that the people in the chat room had their own community going on. I'm just merely the platform.
Oh, they chat with each other.
Yeah, they all know each other. They've never met. They all have handles, but they all. So I'll start a chat and they'll be like, "Hey, how's it going, Blue Angel or whatever?" And it took me a while to realize that they were talking to themselves and not me. Like. It's very trippy.
Huh.
It's
so they tune in with each other and
via me.
Via you. Interesting.
Yeah. And it's this weird world where like I am the tent pole for their own circus. Like,
do you know how to work Upwork?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah,
but they tune into you a little bit, and then they'll talk about something you said, or
they know more about my content than I do.
Huh. So it's like watching TV with a friend. So you talk to your friend, but then you watch TV, and then you'll talk about or something like that.
Well, I generally try not to watch the comments because it distracts me, unless that's what I'm doing for the episode. But it's a very weird world that I inhabit because I'm looking at myself in the screen. There's nobody else but me. So it's this weird thing of like us coming from where we come from, the prime time and all this stuff. Is like I have to face myself in this format, and I talk to myself, knowing that other people are listening and commenting. So it's very surreal in that space. Is like I have a community and I know some of them. I've met some of them. I've talked to some of them on the phone. So I actually know who some of the people are in my stream. But I'll be in this like interesting space, and we have our own little world going on. But it's not. I don't know anything. Like they could be anybody. Some of them I know who they are, but like literally they could be any. I wouldn't know, and I don't care either. Like it's a very interesting space.
Yeah. So can I ask you more of a personal question?
Sure.
You said your wife's job blew up. What does she do?
She's a sober companion, like life coach, but she's very niche. Uh-huh. She grew up in the red carpet world. Her father was like big in the industry, so she knows how to operate in celebrity.
Okay.
And she grew up in absorbent amounts of like that world, so she isn't shocked by it or isn't awed by it or isn't. She knows how to dress and talk, and she can talk to these people.
She's totally comfortable in that.
Totally
world.
Comfortable and has no either fear or star fucking in her. Like, she doesn't care. That's her world she inhabits. So as a woman, there's very few women that can operate in that space and pull it off that are of that space.
And there's money there too, so that's good.
Yeah, lots of it in that sense. But you know, as we were talking about at the meeting today, as holding our principles above everything else, we don't do that. We don't go out. It's not our primary objective.
What do you mean?
Well, you could fleece you could fleece them.
Fleece?
Well, you could see them as these clients as money signs and be like,
okay.
You get what I'm saying?
No. I work with only super wealthy people myself, and I do better the more I don't give a fuck, and I just treat them like people.
Yeah, well, that's baseline, but I mean, like, there's people that don't know what it is to have the interest-bearing currency in their life, so they see someone as having an inordinate amount of this currency, mm-hmm. and be like, I want some of that, and it's pretty easy to go in and be like, I will take advantage of that situation. You know what I mean? So part of her space is she's very trusted, and she does not cross. She's super integrity oriented. She'll walk.
Okay.
You know what I mean? She won't co-sign bullshit.
Oh, good. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It's like living.
She's there to help. Yeah.
She's there to be of service, and
if she doesn't agree, she's not going to go for it.
No, she won't. She won't say that it's okay just to keep the job. Like, you know, we live in that industry is here in LA, as you know, the recovery Riviera, where like people take on clients and
yeah, I've always been a little bit kind of skeptical of that whole industry.
Oh yeah, it's an industry. Yeah. It's the Wild West.
And these sober living / crack houses and stuff. And
no, we don't touch that. And she has.
No, I'm just saying that's part of the industry too. Yeah.
But you can. But the weird thing is, because it's so Wild Westy, is you can take advantage of the situation pretty quickly because people are desperate, man. And
that's true.
And the numbers are so large that it's easy. It would be easy to charge exorbitant amounts and it not even be noticeable, and that not be truly on an integral level. Like
yeah. Well, that'll screw you in the long run, anyways.
Well, yeah, and that's how she's excelled in her thing. Is she stayed true to herself when we didn't have any money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When the opportunity showed up where she could have made the wrong decision, and she wasn't making it like in a big financial thing, she made the right decision with no financial incentive.
Yeah,
it was a negative financial incentive to actually make those decisions, right. But it's all word of mouth, so it's like God's watching, you know. And so we've been very fortunate in that department.
Yeah, so that's a really demanding job, isn't it? Are you on 24 hours or?
No, she's we're not doing that kind of a situation. But what she has is she does a lot of case management now. Is she has a solid Rolodex of doctors and clinicians that are on the healthy path, if you will, that are ensuring not only mind but body, because that's part of the scam too, is a lot of like somewhat questionable third-party professionals, right? That are willing to make questionable decisions because of the money. So she has a very solid network of Los Angeles-based clinicians and workout people and
that are also honest.
Yeah, it's not. You would think that would be an easy thing, but it's not.
No.
So she has the whole package. So
it's not an easy thing anywhere.
No, and it's
a rarity, actually. It seems.
Well, and it's her passion. So for her, it's not a job. It's what she wants to do, which is different than going and building houses or something.
That's great. And so you were a carpenter, but you're not doing that anymore?
No. We switched roles in life, and I was, when we had our son. So when we first were together, I was the sole provider. I had a stepdaughter at the time who was 9, and we had our son. And we made the decision if she was going to be, we were going to breastfeed and do the whole thing. So she was going to stay at home for the first couple years to take, nurture our son. And I was going to go I was going to take care of all the stuff. And then about a year and a half into it, the roles just switched. And I'll tell you, it wasn't an easy transition to go from you think it's easy, like you think it's easy, but you go from being the male patriarchal breadwinner kind of thing to being like, all right, I'm going to be Mr. Mom. I'm going to stay home and take care of the baby and the teenager and homeschool her. And it was very rough transition. It took that's what it put a lot of friction on our life. Because you think that on the surface, you're like, as a pretty liberated male, like I'm not in conflict with women's ability to do whatever they choose to do.
Yeah,
I don't stick to those role identities.
It's always more complicated than you think. And I have a kid too. Taking care of kids is a lot
the
of work.
gnarliest job I've ever had.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have another dad that I hang out with who's a Mr. Mom, and we both be like, dude, and this I'll say about society is mothers are truly underappreciated for how extraordinarily hard that job is.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Norma is literally hiring a guy in Egypt to edit my videos.
Look at her go.
I'm saying you can do that.
I know.
You already know.
I don't, but I know you can. I need you to blow me up, dude.
Okay, well, look, we've been talking for an hour. I'm looking at the waveforms here.
Yeah.
I've never had it look like this.
Is that good?
No, it's just you talking 90% of the time.
Yeah, talk.
I love it. It's fine.
You were gone.
I know. I kind of just got up because you guys seemed like you were doing your thing. But how can we tie this back to learning to lose here, Billy? Can you help me out?
Well, I'd say one thing. He seems interested.
Yeah.
So
in what?
Learning to lose and.
No, I'm saying learning to lose. I mean, he's sober.
Yeah.
So we were talking about God earlier in our meeting. And you shared some stuff that was pretty profound.
Well,
do you remember?
Yeah, no, I agree.
What did he say?
Just it's the principles, but the way he says it gets into your noggin.
but
I don't remember exactly. What
I do.
Okay.
So you shared about what was it?
By the way, this is my favorite topic, so I'm all in.
Yeah, now we're getting to the.
Yeah. This is the.
We
good
know
stuff.
who he is now.
Yes.
But let's. What was it you were saying? Something about.
Well, I was talking about the external struggle manifesting outside when it's really an inside job.
Yes, he was talking about we're always looking at all the problems in the world, but we are the world.
Yes,
we are the problem.
Well, we are the world that we see, is what he was saying.
Well, I was talking a lot about coming to terms with your darkness.
Oh yeah.
And what I see as a guy who's been going out actively, pursuing and witnessing and videoing what is going on in the streets of our cities, I understand what is going on because I've made peace with the serial killer inside of me. I've made peace with the violent me. I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of as a caveman, as a man, as a human being. I am the destroyer.
It's important to acknowledge that, yeah.
But when I was able to like make peace with that and heal that and become whole, that's why I can sit with God, because I truly, because if that's why I was attracted to, as knowing you for a while, when I saw what you were doing and kind of it clicked with what you were doing, I was like, oh, I'm doing that too. You've just boiled it down to like a single lane on the highway versus I've got a spaghetti's nest of it, and it's one of the lanes I talk about. You're focusing on what my main drive is right now, is learning to lose. What I see going on in the streets of America right now is people playing out they're trying to win, because they haven't figured out that they need to lose first.
Really?
So I was up in Portland, Oregon, watching the conflict between the police and the rioters. Let's just call them that, the Black Bloc rioters, Antifa, whatever you want to call them. Whatever you want to call them. Yeah. And so I'm watching them on the side. I'm watching the two factions, the police and then these young, rioting, black-clad
it's normal for
terrorists. And from a spiritual perspective, I realized that they were both playing out their traumas. I was like, guaranteed, I know by default that most people that are in law enforcement, some are because they're do-gooders, but many are there because they have trauma issues, whether it's lack of power, abuse, whatever, and they're playing their role in trauma. Because when you're watching two opposing forces beat on each other, it's very simple. And then I go, well, all these other people over here, I bet if I went and polled them, all of them have trauma issues, whether it's early parental divorce, alcoholic parents, rape, incest, fell on my head, whatever. They have a trauma issue they haven't resolved. So these two groups of trauma forces are working out their trauma issues on each other, ultimately trying to find atonement with each other's action, because no one gets to leave that kind of a conflict clean. They're screaming at the cops, you blah, 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 and the cops are beating them back, and they're all, but they're all choosing to be there in this state of conflict, and they're both right and they're both wrong at the same time. And the only reason that is existing is because they have yet to accept their darkness, and they're manifesting it out, because if they truly understood the darkness, they would never behave like that. There's nothing.
Well, they're completely unaware.
Exactly. Because they've buried their trauma. They've buried their darkness. They believe that they're righteous, and they only live in the one side of their reality. And as a person who I used to be an activist once upon a time in my youth, a very serious one. I was never a violent activist. I came from the school of pacifism, but as I progressed in life, that's ultimately what led me to really become an alcoholic. Was I ran from my darkness. And I didn't know how to solve the world's problems, because I didn't understand that until I healed myself, I can't heal anything. And that's really where I see what's going on is.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, I think it's very important, and I read this in a book on Jung, and for my own personal self, before I got better, like I was sober and I had issues, with sex and relationships and things like this, and until I could accept this is who I am.
That guy just texted
like
me.
You said, a Hitler and Gandhi within the same, the horrible, horrific things that have happened in history. Those were humans like us that did that. Humans are capable of doing that, and there's no reason to say that you or I or somebody else isn't just as capable of doing the same shit, but they don't accept it or believe it. You know what I mean? But put in the right circumstances, you can murder, rape, kill, whether you think it's the right cause or not. So I think it's important for human beings to know that there's like definitely a murderer and like a higher self too, within yourself.
Well, absolutely. Well, again, it's like the untrained human being, right? Is as a person who I'm fully capable, and therefore I don't need like some of the nicest people you meet are trained to like end it for you if they were so, but that's why they're so kind.
What do you mean? Like
if you met like a true person who has the skill set
like
to
an
like
MMA fighter,
an MMA fighter,
Navy SEAL,
an assassin, a Navy SEAL. They're generally very mellow, nice, kind people that actually offer you no harm because they don't live in fear of you because they know. And it's the same reason like I don't live in fear of anyone else. I'm fully plugged in with how violent I am on all levels. I know my mind. I know how dark it is. But because I know how that darkness lies, I never need to act on it. And I can ask God to remove that thought at any given moment. So I was...
Plus, we know how it plays out because we've acted things out in the past and it's never good.
Well, if you don't know history, it's doomed to repeat it, right? So it's that thing is going and watching this extreme level of violence over the last 4 months.
Were they actually like beating on each other and stuff?
The level of the stuff I saw in San Francisco was horrifying this last weekend.
That was last weekend.
That was 2 days ago. 3 days ago.
And what did you see there?
Why
did you go there?
To witness.
And to film?
To witness and film. Because
For your
people
YouTube channel?
don't understand what's going on in our country. It's very serious. And
what are they? What's going on? They're fighting about the politics, about Trump, or what?
It's deeper than that. It's kind of off subject with learning to lose, but there's a definite militant insurrection in this country right now, and they are clearly stating and showing their out and out violence, and they're willing to commit violence. And
so Black Lives Matter.
It's been hijacked by Antifa.
Yeah, okay, but that's what these riots were. You saw riot. They were Black Lives Matter.
There was riots this weekend.
There's riots every weekend somewhere in America. It's going on all the time.
For what?
Whoa.
For what? I thought that was over or kind of resolving itself.
Because there's people who
no, we're not saying it's Black Lives Matter.
You got that.
I'm not saying what is it really. I'm saying that's what it's.
What are they gathering behind?
Yeah, what are they gathering behind?
They're gathering behind Black Lives Matter. Okay. Correct. But I have to
now we can talk.
Well, okay, I just want to be clear is.
But first, let's at least talk about what they're gathering, and then we can talk about whether Black Lives Matter is a thing or not, which I agree with.
Most people don't want to recognize that because of the linguistic trap of Black Lives Matter. It's a very well organized linguistic trap. So most people feel very uncomfortable identifying the banner that they're using to do it. So I was up in San Francisco.
Wait. What do you mean?
So when you get out and say that the modern American terrorist insurrection is Black Lives Matter, it's a linguistic trip to make you seem like you're against Black lives, but that you're against civil rights. As an active civil rights advocate and participant, I'm 100% for Black lives, but as far as the movement of Black Lives Matter as it's been infiltrated by Antifa, I have to call it out. But that's a very tricky narrative to skirt because now I've instantly put myself as that guy's some sort of right-wing extremist.
Everyone's afraid to say anything on
that. But I'm not.
No, I'm not either, actually.
So when
So here's the thing. The first, right when this shit started, I didn't even know about that, but I just I always felt like, it's about something bigger, like class.
Well,
class.
So I went down to Fairfax and live streamed down at Fairfax, right? When it went back in June or at the end of May, whenever it was, when Fairfax went sideways and they destroyed Fairfax. So I went down there and filmed, and there was 3 distinct operations going on. Well, 4. There was the police, There was the civil rights movement, which was multiracial, multi-everything. A bunch of people standing up for civil rights in front of the police. It was very brave. I stood with
there's 4. You're on the second one. What's the third one?
The third one is the Antifa Black Bloc terrorists. And the fourth one was straight looters. Who were
So what's the Black Bloc terror? What is it? That the brick pallets, and these motherfuckers were going hard.
Can you just, because I'm not really sure, Antifa is what?
Right.
Antifa's another linguistic trick. Is they claim to be anti-fascist, but they ultimately are the fascists.
And so, what are they doing there?
They're destroying stuff.
Well, what's a fascist? Anti-Jew? Isn't it a Jewish thing? Fascist.
Well, fascism under its definition is the merger of state and government in one combined unit. It's sort of like communism light.
Wait, it's sort of like what?
Communism light.
Communism light. Oh, yeah. Okay. So it's merging government and
corporate into one cohesive body.
But you said government and state.
Well, the state is the government. But.
So
hold on.
Antifa's a corporation.
No, Antifa's run very much like Alcoholics Anonymous is.
It's an organization, but
nah, it's that's how they're getting around everything. That's the trouble. Is it's run exactly like AA. So your Rose City Antifa is an autonomous group of people all underlying using the same principles and stuff, but they don't interconnect to the other group.
Okay. So Antifa or fascism is the state and it's the government trying to do what?
Well, the government and the corporations trying to control the system.
How?
The people.
By control, just total control.
Okay, but how?
What do you mean how?
Well, they're busting up. They're busting up and causing damage, which is causing fear, which is able to give them control.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it doesn't. How does fear give them control?
Because everyone's afraid.
Okay.
And so they're all doing what the government tells them to so they can be safe.
Yeah, but Antifa is the government?
So Antifa is basically...
So Antifa gets everyone scared because they're fucking shit up, right? Yeah. So then what are they asking for the people to do?
Antifa?
Yeah.
Well, they're united with... If it's truly fascism, they're in bed with the government.
Yes, and that's what nobody understands. Is they're not in bed, so to speak. But what I'm witnessing and trying to expose is they're useful idiots to bring in the police state.
So the government is using them
for
their agenda.
The government isn't so much.
They're just letting them do
yes.
But hold on.
They're capitalizing because they'll use anything they can to get more control. So
yes.
this is an avenue of control.
So if you saw the outlay of police force in San Francisco this weekend, you would be like, so their whole thing is they're anti-cops. They're supposedly fighting the cops and the power structure. There is more resources showing up than ever before.
So basically what you're saying is they're fucking shit up. And the government's letting them fuck shit up so that there's a reason to have more police.
Yes. Yeah.
Now that's what's happening. Right?
That is what's
happening. I don't
happening.
like the generalizations. Okay, so now we have more police on the streets.
It's not just more police, though.
Right. What else is it?
It's now they're going to protect us, so that we'll make laws that we wouldn't normally make, which won't change.
Now we're talking like what?
Well, so you look
like the Patriot Act.
Yeah, like that's an example. That's a big example.
Let's talk about it specifically. I don't want to do the general thing anymore.
Well, that's how we get to the specifics.
Right. I know. I'm trying to get to the specifics, but the answer when I ask a question of like, how are they trying to control? The answer is like by inciting fear. Okay, and then what? Like, you know what I'm saying? The answers are always like general answers. And I'm doing the same thing. But I want to start trying to really figure out what's really going on. Okay, so now hold on.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so now we have more people, more cops on the street. And the people believe that what? that they're more the more cops are on the street, the safer they are?
I don't know, because they're fighting the police. They're
You know what I
saying
mean?
ban the police.
So then, what's the end game?
The end game is, well, this is my opinion. Nobody else, and please don't kill me on the way home. But I think that the government wants complete control, like a communist type of situation.
Yeah,
or
Joe Rogan talks a little bit about this. Like so basically, they want people to allow them to microchip them, track them, have all these rules starting with the mask you have to wear everywhere. You can't go in here. You can't do that. You got to do this. You got to do that. Yeah. And it's a slow process, and then before you know it, you're boiling. You're a frog in boiling water. But I just want to talk more specifically about why and what specifically. Like what?
What is your what?
Like what? What do they want from us? Control? Okay, so
control
me.
No. It's I know this is what it is. They want to sever your connection to God.
That's
crazy. No. It's super serious on that level, because we're here to talk about God ultimately, and everything
That's why you were saying this is all related.
That's why this is all related.
Okay, we're now an hour and a half into the podcast, and we have finally arrived at why I want you on the podcast.
Yeah, we're here. Well,
we're here. We got there.
We're here.
Okay.
So he thinks.
Okay.
No, he thinks that all this shit is happening so that people will. You know what's crazy? What do you mean? This is what raised by wolves. This is raised by wolves. They don't want us to have our own God. They want our God to be the government.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. So this is part of one of the things I talk a lot about on my show, my channel and stuff is you are the government. You are the president of your reality. We live in one of the most special governments on the planet that we're not granted rights. Our God-given rights are reaffirmed by the Constitution. Nobody's giving us rights. We are born with these inalienable rights. The Constitution reaffirms our rights.
Okay, so right now we're starting to go into the general thing again. So I want you.
No, that's very specific.
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
No, you want to know what specific is? Let's talk about one of those rights. That's getting specific.
Let's talk about let's talk about freedom of religion.
Okay.
The inability of a church to be open right now in the United States of America has been put under the thumb of the control of the government.
That's specific.
And yes, and why are the churches bending over? And it's the 501c3, because they want to be tax deductible, because they want to hang on to their money. The churches that are bucking this system don't care about taxes, and they shouldn't care about taxes, because who cares, right? Because they always hype about the render under Caesar thing. So pay your taxes and let's pray freely. But what we have right now is an attack on God. The people that are the street soldiers are.
Hold on. Do you think you can say this in a minute?
Say what in a minute? I don't know.
What you're talking about right now?
Yeah, the attack on God.
Yeah.
As far as I can see, everything that is occurring.
Yeah, no, I just want you. I want you to say it in a minute. So watch. Hold on. We're on the Learning to Lose podcast, and we have the Illusion on. He's going to talk to you about this is conspiracy shit. I'm not with it or against it, but I want to hear it. So we're under attack right now from the government, and the attack is
to prevent you from connecting with God forever. God is unlimited, multidimensional power and connectivity. The government powers that be are trying to convince you that you are a three-dimensional item made up of your five senses and the limited electromagnetic spectrum. Everything's energy, and the government's trying to take your connectivity to your fellow human beings.
Starting with not allowing churches to be open and making you wear masks and stuff.
6 feet. The human resonance is why is it 6 feet? Because we're not sharing our electromagnetic energy, and that is God right there.
So this podcast, this is coming up in a week, so I just want to share. This is a while.
There you
We go there sometimes.
We go. We go. Because everything that I'm about ultimately is about, for me as a person, as a being, I've made my peace with God.
Just download Upwork.
I've made total peace with God. I've dealt with my baggage. I've made peace with it. Now I'm trying to operate in the light. My sole primary purpose, right, is to help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. For me, what I understand sobriety to be is ultimately there is one who has all power. That one is God. Find him now, right? So if my primary purpose is to help someone achieve sobriety, and achieving sobriety is connectivity with God, everything's about God. I see what's going on right now on spaceship Earth as a war against God, to sever everyone's connectivity with God, because what we're given with God is multidimensional. What we're given when we choose this, our body, is a short life.
Yeah, and I'm seeing it on another level. Like people like you and me and Pat, God people, we're not as easy to control or scare. You know, we're going to do what we believe in.
Right. Now we're talking.
Well, absolutely.
Fear.
I don't.
Fear is with faith.
You can't be in a state of fear if you're in a state of love, right? You can't be in it. They're two opposing concepts. As long as I stay with God and I stay in grace and I stay in love, in a state of God's beauty for me and love and the world, I can't exist in fear, because I've already turned my life over to God, right? Like as a sober guy, that's one of my things. I turn my will, my life.
But isn't that a daily task? I mean,
minute by minute sometimes.
Yeah.
Look, I'll be clear. Like there are some days that I have moments of sheer terror about what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah, especially when you have kids.
Yeah, I look at my son and I get scared and I go, what kind of world is coming our way? You're talking to a dude who's like, my garage looks like I'm ready for the apocalypse, because I am.
I've been stocking up on stuff too.
Yeah, and you know, it's our lives have changed radically. But anytime that I get the fear, I have to remind myself that I am of God and I'm here to do God's work, and I don't need to be afraid, because what am I afraid of? And
when you're in that space, you're not even afraid of dying, really. You're connected.
Well, you have to I think that's part of our trap on the Western culture, is we fear death. And there is no death once you've made your connection with God. It's just loss of your human form. And I think almost all spiritual practices talk about this is just a temporary vessel. The real you is this multidimensional, infinite connectivity to God.
I hope it's that, but even if it's not, when I'm connected, it's just not. It's not this. I'm not afraid.
No, why would you be? In that sense, but that doesn't deny that this is very scary. What time we're in?
Yeah,
that's no joke. I don't like. But part of, I think, for me, because I'm not afraid, I'm willing to find the information, and I'm willing to be wrong. I think that most people now are afraid to be wrong and afraid to have to embrace an idea and find out that it was wrong. And I think what we got going on for a lot of people right now is the African prince scam.
This is fucking amazing.
I think people...
this is what I want to put... This is the clip right now that's going to go on Instagram. I hope you make it this far.
All right.
Kaya. People are afraid to be wrong. Why? Because what happens when I'm wrong all the time. I reserve the right to be wrong.
Yes.
That's okay. Yes. And that's what we're doing. That's literally what we're doing online.
Yep.
Is we're just like fighting and talking and being wrong and going, oh, maybe I was wrong. What's right? Maybe that's right. Cool. Let's have the talk. Let's have the dialogue. I don't know everything. That's okay. That's cool. Learning to lose, learning to be flawed, learning to be imperfect. And I love what you just said. Everyone's so afraid to be wrong that they're not like, we're not learning anything. We're not getting anywhere.
And that's, again, if I go to my thing and I look at why I go witness these events going on, is the polarization, is the echo chamber. Like people constantly are trying to stick me in a box.
Dude, the echo chamber. Dude, enough already, right? We're all saying the same thing. Can someone just like entertain. Can I ask you a question?
What's that?
What do you think about Donald Trump?
The Orange Man?
The Orange Man.
Yeah.
I think he's a Trojan horse, but this is you want to take my basic take on it? I think that it's just a choice between a slow train or a fast train off the cliff. I think our system's done.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. But
Trump's the slow train from what I can tell.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The fast train's the other guys because I've seen them in action.
So basically what you're saying is he's the better choice.
I believe so.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, and that's something that's really scary. I just kind of...
But people want to...
Hold on, let me just say,
okay.
I was entertaining that possibility. My wife doesn't even want me talking about this because people are so angry if you even say that he's anything but an evil demon. So I don't know. Okay, I don't know anything. Let me just finish. Let me just finish. So what I've been ranting lately about is my friend, Aaron, kind of cut me off, or he sent me a message saying that I'm of lower intelligence, me and my dad, for like, my dad's super, like, dad thinks Trump is is like the greatest man to ever walk the earth. And I'm like, okay, he's my dad.
Yeah.
So I've usually fight him, and I usually am like, it's frustrating because I don't see what I see a flawed, kind of fucked up guy, you know what I mean? Like, but definitely a good businessman, right? I don't necessarily believe him to be like a racist person, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe he is, but I don't really know. I hope I'm not like upsetting you. You.
Oh, no.
What do you think about all this? Do you hate Trump?
No.
Oh. You don't really know.
Yeah.
I think that's the smartest answer, is like, I don't really know. I don't know. And anyone who acts like they know for sure, it's like, whoa, like just ease up, because all you know is what you see. You're looking at the same feeds.
All right. So as a dude, I would
but let me just, sorry, okay. I was trying to say something. The point that I was making
friend
was
Aaron,
this guy, we're not even friends anymore.
No, people gone crazy.
And that's fucked up.
And that's part of...
No, people gone crazy.
No, as
it's crazy.
Look, as a guy, I would describe myself as a wonk. I've always been studying politics. I'm fascinated by it. I've always been involved with knowing what's going on policy and all of this kind of stuff. You're talking to a dude right now who is an avid environmentalist.
Right.
Avid environmentalist. You're talking to a dude who's pro, you do what you want to. I'm a libertarian at the core. I don't care if you want to reassign yourself. I don't care who you kiss, who you marry. I'm for legalizing of drugs. I'm not against alcohol. I'm a sober guy. I'm for God. I have my issues. I don't want to touch the third whale one because that's got nothing to do with this right now. But I'm for civil society. So as that dude who digs into this stuff, who's willing to be wrong, who's willing to face information I don't like, there is huge red flags with Trump. Huge ones, dude.
Huge red flags with what?
The red flag law.
Like
the red flag law, for example.
What's that?
So the red flag law that he was floating was that based upon mental illnesses, people could have their Second Amendment rights taken, and with no trial or anything, which preemptive removal of your Second Amendment rights. And I'm a huge believer in your right to defend yourself. I think that that's part of the problem is people have gone crazy. But in that space, I'm a dude who wants to battle the pharmaceutical companies, who wants to battle look, if someone came to me and started talking about the food deserts that are plaguing inner city USA, the fact that we have nutritional deficient populations of people, there's my issue nobody's talking about on the right or the left. I'm more... I'm a little bit more pragmatic about it. Like,
So what? They don't have access to like fresh meat and vegetables? Is that what?
I think the last 6 months we should have been planting crops. Personally,
Good night.
I'm a firm believer that the biggest problem facing anybody in this country is nutritionally deficient food.
That's funny because we were just talking about that today. So my friend from TikTok that now I'm talking to on the phone, her little nephew who's 3 just got diagnosed with leukemia. My stepdad's kid's dying of cancer. He's 28. He's a drug addict, so he's not getting treated. But there's all these young people getting cancer. And I said, what is it? Vaccines, plastic, something in the environment? And she said, food.
Dude, the food's toxic
And
and,
I said, yeah,
and nutritionally deficient. And that's where nobody's talking about that. I mean, so that like we get into this, like, who's the puppet in charge? Like again, as I'm going to say it, I'm choosing I believe that no matter what, our system's going off the cliff. I think it's inevitable. I'm choosing the slower train. That's all I'm choosing versus the fast train. Because I live in California. I can go to Santa Monica and look at what their policies look like. I live in a state that is super majority of their policies. If California isn't a shining example of these policies, then nowhere on the planet will be at this point.
You mean democratic policies?
Yeah, like California should be an oasis, and it's not.
No, people are leaving.
People are starving on the streets of our city right now.
Yeah.
You know, and nobody's concerned about them.
Texas is the star.
Well, I don't believe that moving gets you out of the problem. I think it's a global crisis.
Well, yeah, but okay. It is a global crisis. So how do we get the other countries on board? Say we got our shit together. How do you get the rest of the world to get on board?
We're the last standing country. We're the last armed citizen population on the planet that can stave off this thing, this disconnect from God. And that's why do you think the rest of the world's going the way it is? Is because they aren't armed. Look at what's going on in Australia. I mean,
it's burning. I know that.
It burned. I mean, in Victoria, it's total clampdown. They say till the end of next year. Authoritarian to the core.
Tag you on TikTok.
Tag.
So what is it though?
Malibu Illusion. I got it. I scored it. Yeah.
So what is their government?
You follow Learning to Lose, just so I can tag you.
Follow Learning to Lose. Just a second. I don't really know how to operate in TikTok.
Yeah, okay, so you have to go to your TikTok real quick.
Yeah. Oh, wait, cancel. Wait.
And then just do this. Just edit this name. Your name's all fucked up.
Oh, dude, I thought it gave me Malibu.
They're giving you a fucking number. They're trying to have you just be like a sheep. At Malibu Illusion on tonight.
I guess as my thing is
Is Australia a socialist country?
Semi-socialist.
But
they have a different mindset than their nation started as a penal colony, dude.
You know what I heard? The reason that Australia is burning is they sold their water rights to their aquifer
to
China.
Yeah, that's public knowledge. And but what's interesting is, Australia's done burning, but again, it's a lot of forest mismanagement. I would say it's a huge problem.
I just don't like when people think they know things for sure. Like, and I would hope that you have an open mind.
Absolutely.
To potentially being wrong about what you think.
Well, I would say this is that is the nature of why I'm not afraid to have the conversation.
Yeah, I love that.
The people
and
that
not
are
letting your ego attach itself to whatever.
I'm putting myself out there not because I think I'm wrong, because I'm not afraid to being wrong.
I love that.
So we're going a train. This country's a train going off the cliff. Is there anything we can do?
Again, my basic. What I'm doing is I'm trying to get as many people strapped up to the God parachute as possible, because I think that the way that it works is that this thing's splitting dimensionally. That one group of people want to stay attached to this form life and the five senses in the three dimensions. And I think those of us who have chosen God have chosen multidimensional infinite.
But that's also a tricky one, because when you say God, well, then you got all these Christians and you got all these Episcopalians and these Catholics, and they're like, yo, what do you mean we're God people? But the God you're talking about's a little different.
Well, I mean, personally for me, I'm a Christian. I've accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. Mm-hmm. But it's my personal relationship. God is a personal relationship.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I know many people who say that, but they don't really jive. They're part of a church. I don't know that they're really got the practice that connects.
Well, that's not for me to judge. So if I look at like what I've done in the last 72 hours, on my way out of San Francisco, I went and stopped by and saw my Muslim friend. And we did like an hour and a half interview on my conversation. I'm talking just as we are right now about the same subject matters and God and this and that. Mm-hmm. Because neither of us, I don't have a conflict with what he does, because that's what he does. Again, I think that in God, and that is, it's a personal relationship. And the minute you go into judgment of somebody else's personal relationship, you're ultimately denying God all of a sudden, because you're not in a state of grace.
Yeah.
Because, I
have a lot of resentments
towards
religion.
Well,
Christianity specifically.
Well, this is what I heard this the other day, and I thought this was pretty profound. I don't believe in religion, by the way. Religion's, for me personally, is a man-made concept. I believe in spirituality. I believe that I have my understanding and my path, because that's kind of, if you want to call it my dharma. I've gone and looked at all of them. I'm not...
What's the difference between dharma and karma?
Dharma's like the place you're at. Like
What's karma?
Karma is about the reincarnated life forms. Like you were a grasshopper in your previous life, and you get to be a kangaroo in the next life.
Yeah, it's also, DDA just sent me this thing that explained it, and it's basically how you think and live your life is your karma. You're creating. Well,
I also thought karma was like you get what you are. You get what you
sure,
deserve.
The cycle. It's the cycle type
like
of thing.
You have bad karma. Like you did a bunch of bad shit. So now
you're gonna get it. You have to make peace with it. But that's called atonement. It's called sin. It's called all of these things.
Sin is just something.
But basically, you've got to make peace with your sin in order to be saved. In order to be saved, I have to achieve forgiveness. I have to be willing to ask God for forgiveness for what I've done wrong. So basically, You're
so not who I thought you were.
What do you mean?
Like actually talking to you with eye contact for a while?
What do you mean by that? Like good, bad, or just...
Good, it's good.
What did you think?
Well, he has this, or he used to have this very surfer, skater persona, like...
Yeah. He's... Honestly, no. I think Billy might be like the most judgmental person.
No, you're not wrong. As a dude who understands my own reflection, I'm fully aware that I am perceived. Yeah, I'm a full blown surfer skater guy.
Yeah. Hold on though.
I carry the dialect. I say, dude.
Hold on. I just want to address Billy. I hope that we're learning from our incorrect judgments,
but he's not.
I only hope that when we do that and we realize how wrong we were, we maybe don't do it as quickly next time, right? Do you think that?
Well, there's always hope.
I'm the same way. Like, dude, I did it with this guy Taylor tonight.
But I
guess we just do that. I guess.
Well, but
Billy's not
I know
wrong.
Past him, and he has the blonde bowl cut,
I am.
He talks a certain way, and all that stuff.
Well, no, it's again is we are who we are on a quick glance. We are who we are as we get to know each other better. That is the human nature. I firmly believe that you judge a book by its cover. That's why you put covers on books.
Right. I mean, what else can you do with until you get to know somebody?
Well, as for example, I published a novel in the 90s, right? And I made my cover bright orange with a smiley face on it. Why? Because I wanted it to stand out more than any other book on the bookshelf. And then when they pulled that bright orange book out, I wanted it to be a smiley face, right? To bring them in. So I firmly believe that it's okay to judge people on superficial levels. I embrace it, actually, because I think that that's part of the denial process that I'm against is
and then just go live.
Is because if we don't allow people to be exactly what they appear to be, then we're denying them their humanity on a level too. You know what I mean? Is to tiptoe around that someone's a white male or a black female or an Asian midget or whatever. Then we're not giving them part of their humanity, and I think that that's really why we're walking into a very dangerous trap with this. You have to be. You can't acknowledge. You have to use the right words and this and that. Is like that's not what humans do on our first pass. We're very superficial because that's our genetic survival code, dude, is red berries will kill us. And so we pass by all red berries at first, and then we look back and we can go, well, that's a raspberry. That's not a this. And we have these things that are part of our survival mechanism, and that's one of them. And I don't think that that's wrong. So when you said that, I go, yeah, totally. I'm at peace with that because that is who I am. I am Spicoli. I talk about it on my channel.
I was going to say that.
No, I'm spiritual Spicoli, dude. And that's what. Look, if I let God, I talked about God's number one aspect is creativity, right? So it says so in the Bible that God created, so that you can intuit that God's a real creative God. And so he made me who I am. If I deny my Spicoliness, that gets people into the door for the bigger conversation about God. Like it's a gateway drug or to God in that sense. It's like I look at my thing, I'm famous because I cut my hair, right? That's ridiculous. Those who came for the haircut eventually leave. Those who look past for the haircut end up being part of my tribe on my channel, and I meet them in various places because the superficial thing helps me separate the wheat from the chaff. If you want to just see me as that, well, then that's okay too, but here we are. It took us, 6 years to get here? That's okay.
Well, we never actually sat down and talked.
Well, exactly, dude. But that's the. I remember getting your card and being like, "Oh, you should talk to Billy," and I was like, "Nah, it's not my dude."
Yeah.
On the same level, it's like I think that we have to trust our instinctual animal nature. People get offended. I said animal and talk as a Christian at the same time, but I think that we have these things within us that are put in us to help us navigate safely. Like our instincts are correct.
Well, it's interesting, but because your persona is the opposite of actually who you are. That's why it's such a contrast.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's like Marilyn Manson. It's like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, you get
because
it.
you appear to be like this dude that doesn't have deep thoughts, but actually you are a deep thinker on a high level. So it's just kind of a shock. You know, it's a polar.
Well,
thing.
I mean that's the torture in the same level too. Is I don't get to sit and kind of. Like it's always going. That's why I'm an alcoholic. Like I'm always
need something to quiet that, right?
Well, I find that part again is that's why I do art and Legos, and I have my ways to quiet. Like I find that when I try to be still, that's when it's almost the loudest. Like I can do the meditating by listening to the dog scratching the canvas. Mm-hmm. but if I try to be quiet, I don't think it's my nature. Mm-hmm. Like this is like one of the things I learned in prime time. One of my character assets, defects, whatever you want to call it, that I had to discover about myself is no matter what it is that I'm to do, I have to say no first. If you want to go get an ice cream right now, I have to say no to you in order to do it. If I say yes, I won't want it the whole time. If I say no, it's just, I'm not a dude who wants to do anything.
So you're letting your defiant nature express itself, and then
I can move past it.
Then your second thought is, okay, let's go.
And I can do step 7, right? Like, is that 7?
I'm not sure.
I forget.
I just know we're defiant. I'm the same way.
Well, it's not so much defiance.
Or resistant or something. Yeah, it is defiance.
I'm intuitively a non-participant. Like my nature is I don't want to participate in any of it.
That's defiance, though. But whatever you want to say.
Okay, yeah, it's a level of defiance. But I think on the for me as a human being, like.
So you say no in your head. You don't say no to the person.
No,
asking.
I got to say no right to you.
Really? Okay.
Because then I get to go. Then I get to think about it and be like, yeah, I want to do that. Mm. But if I say no, I'm just like, I got my bases covered. Then I can split. It's this weird thing where I had to learn to say no. Part of me getting sober was learning to say no. That's why I can say yes to everything on YouTube. The one space I always say yes to is YouTube. Because that's God, right? Because I told you how I got into YouTube was because of God. So I can't deny God. If I were to say no to anything on YouTube, that would, in my way of thinking, be denying God's gift to me. And so I have to fulfill it. And it's never failed me, ever. It's never led me astray by saying yes to this space.
So what worries me here is I like to have hope. You don't think there's hope for this?
I'm an absolute optimist.
So this train is going off the cliff. What's the hope?
Well, the hope for me is I'm fine. I mean, I already know I'm spiritually taken care of.
What about your kid?
I'm a little worried, but he's tuned in, so I have good vibes about that. He's an optimist, and my family's an optimist. My hope lies in love. I believe that love conquers all, that I believe that good prevails over bad. I believe that at the end of the story, right always triumphs over wrong. That the rule of the universe is to build. I mean, you could argue that it's entropy, but entropy can, but you know, entropy is the all matter breaks down, the breakdown of it. But energy neither disappears nor you never lose it. It just changes shape. So I sort of believe in a multidimensional approach to it all. Is I think that in order that my great hope is those of us who want to choose God and make that free will decision to put God at the forefront of our life. We've made that decision, and those of us who want to choose the train get to go off the cliff because that train's based upon interest-bearing currency and fallacies and bad economic decisions and slavery ultimately. And I don't want any part of it, man.
Yeah, but you're gonna be a part of it.
I can't be a part of it because I've already chosen God.
Right, but I mean, you're living this world, so.
I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world. Is that how it goes? I forget how it goes. But what I'm saying is, like, as a person who's made peace with it, because I don't live in fear of it, I'm not trapped by it, so I don't have to make that decision. I get to get off the train.
So you're just going to do your best by spreading the message with your following of God and principle and living and practicing that like Pat is and like I am a little bit. Much, Graham. And that's the best we can do.
That's it. And to be of service. And
yo, someone just said hi, Hamish.
Hey,
Kimberly Frontino.
I don't know. Hi, Kimberly.
You want to see something crazy?
What?
All right, guys. I want you to tell us where you're at right now in the world.
I don't know.
No, just tell me where you're at in the world right now. I'm gonna show Hamish.
So you don't meditate.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Look at this. Watch.
I need my glasses. I can't read that without my glasses.
You can't see anything.
It's very blurry, especially screens. I have real trouble with the screens without my glasses.
South Africa, Newcastle, Missouri, Boston, Ohio, Chicago, Detroit, New Hampshire, Santa Clarita, New Zealand, England, South Africa, Detroit, Chicago, Missouri, Australia. I almost don't believe it. Ohio, Ireland, Louisiana.
If it's my
Portland.
people,
I mean, it's going so. No.
If it's my people, they're putting you on. We do that. We have like a roll call, and like the first 10 will be legit, and then the Mongolia, East Timor.
So that's a thing that people.
Yeah. It's fun.
Okay.
But again, I didn't know. I back to your question about as an optimist. I fully.
So
believe,
are you guys lying or what?
I believe that human beings at the end of the day are beautiful creatures of God, and that that we're just going through a phase now where we need to be able to let the train go off the cliff. I believe that we live on a world of alcoholism.
Yeah,
I think all the decisions being made are done in alcoholic haze.
Yeah,
Can I give you my little take on God?
Sure,
Since
please
everyone
do.
else shared theirs.
Yes, please.
Hold on,
So
hold on, guys,
I'm not.
We're gonna hear Billy's take on God. Are you ready?
I'm not a well-read person, and I don't know the Bible, but I have done a fair amount of reading, and I read this book called The Kabbalion. Not the Kabbalah, but the Kabbalion. It's Hermetic teaching. It's a very short little book, and it was passed down by initiates through... They didn't write because they were a secret society from the Egyptian days. So anyway, they say that God, the best way to describe God is that we, the universe, is an image or a dream in God's mind. And then I thought, in the Bible it says we're made in God's image. And then I thought, image, imagination. And the reason that we are like demigods or little gods, or we have God power, is because we have the power of imagination. So we can create in our minds, just like God is an intelligent force that's creating in his mind us, we also have the ability to do that. And I think we could go further with it if we practiced. And I love that idea because it mind-powered disease, mind-powered solution, blah, 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 blah. And it really tickles my brain to think about it. And it also kind of lifts me out of this when I start to think about it. And I start to kind of float into whatever. So that's my little take on it.
Well, imagine see, I'm right there on the same page with you. I think one of our challenges.
Well, like how you said creativity, because it's kind of in the same vein, right?
Absolutely.
Creation, creativity, imagination. It's creating.
Well, God gave us the power to create this, our reality. It's pretty clear, and what I think one of the things that we're not truly.
Hey, you don't need to get sober.
No.
It's all good. This person's like, you guys are amazing, but like, if you're not an alcoholic, you don't need to get sober.
You just search for everyone's got a trauma they can overcome. That's the secret.
Wow.
So I heard this interesting thing that this is the difference between religion and spirituality. And I thought it was pretty interesting. Basically, religion is pre-trauma, spirituality is post-trauma. Because at the trauma point, you have to grasp.
What's pre-trauma?
Like everyone has a traumatic experience in their life. So pre-trauma is religion, which is just man's idea about what God is or isn't, and the way, at a path to God, and the books and the whole thing. The trauma, dealing with the trauma, when you grasp God, you get an intimate understanding of what God is for you, and that is spirituality.
Yeah, so have you had to deal with a lot of trauma?
I mean, as an alcoholic, just the base. For me, it was alcohol.
I mean, like childhood or whatever it is.
No, I never had anything truly happen to me and like abuse or anything like that. I think for me, I think that I've always been very in tune to the ecosystem of our planet. I grew up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, so I grew up in ancient stumps of an ancient redwood forest that always resonate with me. I'm very much about trees and old growth forests, and I think like many who focus on the environment as a life issue, our trauma is with that.
Well, it's horrifying.
It's horrifying. Yeah, I weep. I stopped weeping many years ago, but like,
I almost don't like to even think about it because it's just too overwhelmingly.
I mean, I had to again as I was up in the again, that's ego, right? In that sense, is when I was a big tree activist. I used to be a pretty heavy duty tree activist in the 90s up in Oregon, and there was a lot going on in the 90s, and they were clear cutting a lot of old growth forests and doing all that kind of stuff. It was very traumatic because when you speak tree, I can speak tree, and you hear the screaming trees as they're falling to their death, being cut by chainsaws. It's very horrifying. Wow. There's like a holocaust of trees and ecosystems, and so experiencing all that, I was about to turn very much towards the way of Dr. Ted. And become an eco-terrorist. And I was about to go very violent in that direction. And so I was in an old growth forest, and I was sitting there, and I was contemplating all these dark thoughts. And the trees spoke, this grove of old growth trees spoke to me. Bye, it's very nice to meet you. I'll see you again.
Yeah, see you guys.
I was speaking to these old growth trees, and they said, not in my name. And I was like, what do you mean not my name? And they're like, you're not going to harm other human beings in our name. That's you. And you need to know if you inflict any violence on anybody or anything, it's not in the name of us. It's in the name of you. It was my first true moment of like understanding that my perception of the environment was based upon my ego. And the trees were telling me that they're like, look, we've been through fires, we've been through volcanoes, we've been through cataclysms. You don't need to go hurt anybody in our name, because if you do that, it's in your name. And it was this, like the moment I sort of like, I want to say something died. It was more like something was born. I made peace with my darkness. It was one of my steps of making peace with the serial killer inside of me.
Before sobriety?
Oh, yeah. And then I fell into alcoholism after that because, I had some pretty heavy scenes go on with the feds up there and stuff. And, like that act, they talk a lot about it as activists have a high suicide rate and a high alcoholism rate because of the trauma of experiencing this thing of destruction and death of these flora and fauna that you get to know on a very intimate level. There's nothing more traumatic than being a friend of the forest and then that forest to be eliminated from the face of the earth. It's horrifying. And so, it led me to alcoholism because I had decided I wasn't going to be a perpetrator of violence, but I hadn't solved the riddle inside of myself. And I don't get to solve that riddle till I get sober and do my work with Joe Shaughnessy from, you remember Joe from Primetime, and about, I was doing a lot of work in the Course in Miracles and all that kind of stuff. And I was sitting up on the top of the mountains up here, and I was looking at this flower, this beautiful flower, and right next to it was a Nature Valley granola bar wrapper, the sparkly green one. And I was practicing not putting labels on things and just accepting them for what they are and noticing their colors and shapes. And I was doing one of these exercises. So I see this flower and I see this sparkly, beautiful Nature Valley granola bar wrapper just glistening in the thing. And it dawns on me that both of these items are of this planet, that the Nature Valley granola bar wrapper didn't come from outer space. It came from the same planet that this beautiful flower came on. And I accepted the beauty of the Nature Valley granola bar wrapper in its just purity, as just what it was. Not that it was litter or it had any labels. It was just this beautiful sparkling green thing. And it didn't take away any beauty from this natural flower growing out of this rock. They were both beauty in their earthliness. And I look up over the San Fernando Valley and I saw the same thing, because up there, I was up on top of the world up there. You could see all the preserved land cutting across, by Malibu Canyon over into all of that stuff up into Rocketdyne and all that, and over into the Reporter Ranch and all the mountains off into the horizon. And then you could see the valley and all the buildings popping up out of the forest, the trees down there. And it used to be a desert grassland, and now it's a forest. And there's these buildings popping up out of there. And I realized how beautiful it was, because it came from the earth. It didn't come from outer space. It was just a manifestation of it, because I was no longer identifying one as beautiful and one as ugly. I was just identifying them as is intricacies of the planet I inhabit, or the dimension I inhabit. And it was at that moment I had the aha. And I truly made peace with my perception of my egos telling me that one versus the other, and they're in conflict. They became symbiotic all of a sudden. Now, that, don't get me wrong, I'd rather live in a world of...
Well, that's my fantasy, that we will someday get there, where technology and forest and all things will live harmoniously together, that we'll get to the point where we'll make that happen. That's my fantasy.
But it's not. It's happening at the same time. So I was up in the Bay Area. So when I was a kid, I grew up in the Santa Cruz Mountains until I was in high school and moved down here. So what is now highway Skyline Boulevard from San Francisco to Santa Cruz, there along the top of the mountains, used to just be whatever. Now it's all preserved open spaces, right? It's all protected lands. So I hiked down into this forest a couple days ago, and you're in this forest. It's a second growth forest, but the old logging road's melting back into the thing. It's a single track path, and you're in this forest. It's all regrowing. And you realize that the forest and the ecosystem is stronger than we'll ever be. And it's only our hubris and our folly that says that the planet's dependent upon us. We're dependent upon the planet. And it's this thing of accepting that it's going to do what it does. And in fact, it doesn't care, but it loves us at the same time. It'll clothe us. It'll feed us. It will provide us drinking water. It'll provide us lumber to build houses with. But at the same time, it'll send a bear and it'll eat you. You know what I mean? Like people, as a surfer, I used to idolize our coastline of what it must have been before the Spaniards came and it was in its natural thing. And I remember we were tripping on acid. My buddy's I was talking, oh man, imagine all this before everybody got here. And he'd be like, you mean when there was great white sharks in the water and this was an active fishery, and there was bears and all sorts of animals that would eat you? I'd go, you wouldn't last 2 seconds here in your idealized version of reality. And it kind of hit me even in my youth of we view nature as this peaceful thing because it's been tamed, but nature left on its own will eat us in a heartbeat. And the balance is, again, accepting that nature's a brutal killer. Ask a seedling underneath a tree fighting for sunlight to survive, dude. The trees are battling. That's why I love that one Rush song about the trees fighting each other in war in slow motion. You look at the movement of grasslands and ecosystems changing. The ecosystems are always at war with each other, trying to encroach on each other's land and take each other's space. And, the bear eats the salmon. Somehow people think that, yeah, it's beautiful. The grizzly bear's eating the salmon. Well, if you're the salmon, it's a pretty horrific experience, man. You know what I mean? So it's we idealize this viciousness and think that we're not part of it, that we're not doing the same thing as the grizzly bear is doing to the salmon. And I think until we make peace with nature, we're always going to try. We're just going to allow it to be this idealized thing, which is harming it more than anything. I think the hippy dippy approach to the environmental movement's actually destroying the environment between you and me. I mean, I don't see anything more dangerous than the advent of the electric car without the Tesla coil, man.
Wait, what?
Yeah, but maybe that will go to the next version and the next version and will improve.
But again, I think but us as human beings are constantly just jumping sharks.
Hold on. So basically what you're saying, so what you just said, everything you said was so amazing, and I agree with like all of it, right? But then at the very end, you like contradicted yourself, right? Because let me have my little
Sure.
Okay, so basically what he's saying is we have this idea of what it's supposed to look like, right? And the man-made things don't really fit into with the flower, but they are. Mm-hmm. It's all the buildings and the streets. It all came from the earth. Mm-hmm. So it's not like necessarily a bad thing, okay? So by that rationale that this is just evolution playing itself out. So is the Tesla. But then at the very end you kind of you said there's nothing worse than the Tesla, but that's just evolution.
I will never refer to that vehicle as that because it's a psyop to remove Nikola Tesla's name from the forefront of technology. I will refer to it as Elon Musk's vehicle, just so we're clear. One of the things I'm super serious about is...
Well, whether or not you call it whatever it is isn't going to change anything.
Oh, no, it is because Nikola Tesla's technology is the answer.
Oh.
But I'm saying... what Elon Musk is putting our future children at risk of not knowing who Nikola Tesla is. Mm. And Nikola Tesla has the answer because as a dude who's really like looked at this stuff pretty in-depthly is electrical vehicles are probably the most environmentally destructive thing on a mass scale that possibly is heading down the pipeline for the inhabitants of this planet.
Why?
The battery technology, which is an abomination to Nikola Tesla's ultimate technology.
Wow.
Is because the level of extraction you're going to have to get for the rare earth minerals to build all these batteries for all these cars far outweighs the already footprint of extracting petroleum products. And I'm an anti-petroleum products
Plus, what do you do with the batteries when they're done?
Well, again, is one of the main things is the battery is going to require new extraction zones on the planet, which means more environmental destruction, more indigenous people.
What is it,
removed.
lithium?
Lithium ion.
But
Bolivia.
So
they're going to have to mine
Afghanistan.
All this. Yeah.
They're going to have to mine all this stuff. But at the second point
Who the fuck are we?
No, but the other
even comment. What would Elon Musk say if he was sitting right there?
I would straight call him a fraud right to his face.
Okay, that's great. But what would he say?
He might actually twitch. Because he said that he said...
No. I'm saying, what would his...
Because I'm on to him. One of my big dudes I'm after is Elon Musk. He's a fraud.
Right. So, but he would have no defense against the mineral thing? He's obviously saying...
Well, he could be trying to work out something better.
No. Right now, a guy like Elon Musk who claims to be for the environment, right?
He doesn't claim to be for the environment.
No, it's true. They will have to mine this.
Well, and the other thing that no one's looking at is, and I can bring this all back around. I will say right now, I have driven Elon Musk's vehicles, and they're rad.
Right.
Those electric engines will always be more powerful than internal combustion engines. That's science. Like, I don't believe in internal combustion engines have any relevance on this planet. And in fact, I like the engine thing. What I don't like is the batteries and the transmission of electricity through copper wires. That is archaic technology. That is cowboy technology. That is 1800s technology. One of the most inefficient ways to move electricity, regardless of how you're making the electricity.
Someone just asked, when are you guys going to have Joe Rogan on?
Next week.
I fucking wish.
So one of the most inefficient ways to move electricity is through copper wires. If you check out how much power is lost from bleeding out of inefficient copper wires.
So you're saying there's better?
Okay, if you get to the whole concept of Nikola Tesla and his technology was that there's enough energy in the ether between you and me to power the universe. So if you look at what all of his stuff was about, remote controls, X-rays, it was all about tapping in to the energy field.
I understand, but did he never got it to a point where he could actually utilize it, or wouldn't we be doing it?
He was utilizing it. Remember, that's that big transmission statement's about. That's the stations are about. You see the thing he did on the East Coast. I forget what the name of it is. That's when you get it all. That's when the lab blows up. That's when the intervention, because Nikola Tesla didn't want to make money on it. He wanted to give it to humanity. That's when he's battling Edison.
So you think capitalism destroyed it?
I'm a firm believer that one of the things truly locking humanity in a state of bondage is the United States Patent Office. I believe that the Patent Office ought to be ripped open and the technology distributed right now.
Well, I'm with you in a lot of ways. Like, I do think we need to change things, some systems. They need to be completely redesigned. But then there's going to be problems there, and it's working.
Well, I think that I guess the whole premise of how we got here was basically saying that the environmentalists are doing more damage to the planet by their ill-conceived ideas.
Right. We're just trading one for another.
And I think we're trading a more dangerous one for another because the grid can't handle everybody having.
Why can't we use magnetic energy or something?
Again, I think the answer lies in Nikola Tesla's Tesla coils. I think that I've been saying that if Elon Musk was a legit dude, everyone who owned one of his vehicles would get a Tesla coil to plug into the side eventually, and that would be it. Game over. But that doesn't seem to be. When you look into his Earthlink satellite program and his neural chip implant stuff.
But if Tesla's thing was real and legitimate, wouldn't somebody capitalize on that? Somebody take over his work and sell it?
I think he's a pretender, dude. I think he's one of the dudes perpetrating. When you look into the Earthlink satellite stuff, it's pretty alarming.
Oh, Elon.
No,
I get it, what you're saying.
Yeah, I think he's a definite danger to humanity. Like, for sure. But, I'm a crackpot, dude. I don't know. I'm willing to be wrong.
Well, my theory is that before industrialization and farming and all this was the pinnacle of humanity, and now we're devolving.
Absolutely.
We evolved, and now we're devolving.
I chart the peak to American society in the 90s somewhere. I think before 9/11, it was pretty carefree and footloose.
But we were still destroying the environment. So,
I think almost the environmental movement, because I was very active then, was probably doing more proactively then than now. Now it's all just been shuffled into this climate thing that's a scam.
All right. Well, all right, guys. It was fun.
On that note,
but wait, real quick.
We're running out of space here.
Yeah, no, this is a long one. But real quick, can I ask you, why do you think he named it Tesla?
If you go do a Google search right now and you type in Tesla, a car comes to the top of the search, not Nikola Tesla.
No, why did Elon name his car Tesla?
So when you go do a Google search, a car comes to the top of the search versus Nikola Tesla.
He wanted to get rid of that technology.
He's trying to remove Nikola Tesla's identity.
Why?
So that the technology remains stuck in the past.
But why?
Because the technology frees us. because everything, the whole currency system and the whole bondage, the whole system of lack is based upon control of energy. The minute you invoke Nikola Tesla's energy, it's free.
Yeah, and that should have happened 100 years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The fact we're still monkeying around is crazy.
Yes, and hey, look, there's a lot. You know a lot.
I don't really. I
know, but like we could do this all night long
for sure.
But we're at 2.5. So
wow, we did 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Dude,
so for me to upload that,
take you a day.
It's not even that. It's just the site I use.
I get it.
It has to be a certain amount size, and 2.5 is right at that.
Okay,
max.
No worries. But on the final note, like I'm way into what you're doing.
I love it. Thank you, and I hope you can come every Monday.
Oh, I'm down. I'm hanging out.
Yeah, and then we can do this more. I mean, this is.
Bring your kid because.
No, I didn't. Yeah, kid. I'm gonna bring my wife, man.
Hell yeah! All right, cool guys. Thank you.
Thanks.